Hey everybody, my name is Phoenix Joy, and this is the first in a series that I'll be doing. Kind of learned about this a few years back, and it's something that I just sort of dropped. But then a friend of mine on Facebook reintroduced me to it, and I didn't realize to what an extent it was going on in Hollywood. The transgender agenda, as far as, in other words, let's just say this: I'm 41 years old. Okay, I have two children. I have been a movie fan, a movie buff my whole life, a music fan. I got my favorites just like anybody else. And all this time, I thought that they were who they say they are. In other words, I thought the men were men and I thought the women were women. Come to find out, that's not the case at all. And I'm not talking about just with a few. Not just with the few that people already suspect, like Serena and Venus Williams and Sierra and Beyonce, the ones that rumors have been going on for a while about. I'm not talking about, I'm saying that chances are, if it's an A-list celebrity, they are a transgender. And before you say, oh, well, how did they have babies and how did they, that's a whole nother rabbit hole, because they use surrogates. They use what are called moon bumps, which are fake baby bumps. And, we all know about the Beyonce Bellygate scandal, or Bumpgate, where her belly deflated as she sat down in an interview. And everybody just wrote that off, thought no more about it. I didn't forget. But yeah, I did delve back into it because of a friend, and then I was hip to Chinese Black 1974. Her YouTube channel exposes all of this, and that I would highly recommend checking into her, Chinese Black 1974. But she was my inspiration for wanting to do my own videos, just so that I can show support and show that there are others out there, lots of us, who know what's really going on. And so this is Zendaya, a lot of people's favorites. I've noticed that when I post about this on Facebook, a lot of people get mad, and people defend her. But if you know what to look for as far as male and female skeletal anatomy, which is always different, there are differences between the male and female skeleton, then you'll be able to see exactly what's going on in the pattern with the main starlets in Hollywood for decades, throughout history. But anyway, let's just check out this interview with Zendaya, and you'll notice with her, she has a very prominent Adam's apple, which is a male trait. And it bobs up and down as she talks. She has a very thick neck. And let me just show you a piece of her interview here.
Because it's not gonna. I don't have it anymore.
That was a different time.
A different time. It was a different time. But it was a lot of training, a lot of just literally getting up there, just going for it. I remember I had been rehearsing on this specific rig that I was used to. I'd become normal with that height difference, and there was a net, and I felt good and comfortable.
Open your eyes and
see. Doing it for a while, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm trying to be these artists out. Like, this is great. And I show up on set, and yeah, the rig was like 15 to 20 feet.
Hollywood has had you thinking this is normal. This is not normal for a woman to have this size neck and an Adam's apple that's very prominent and visible and moving up and down.
Visually, that's a little.
Hers isn't even the worst.
Oh yeah. I would say, hey guys, it's called CGI. Look it out there. Let's figure out this net right now, and we'll zap it out later, man. Airbrush it out, man.
There's other things to notice about Zendaya.
Two nets, in fact, yeah.
Right.
There are other things to notice, because a lot of people say, oh, well, I have an Adam's apple in this. No, you really don't. I always check these women that claim that they have Adam's apples, and they never have it like this. It will never be what a man's is, ever. Another trait of males that women don't have is a square mandible, which is what Zendaya definitely has. A very square, just chiseled mandible. And again, you're probably thinking, if you're uneducated in this, oh, I've seen a lot of women. Yeah, you have. You've seen a lot of male to female women on television that have this trait. But if you look around you, just at regular women in the supermarket, in your family, anywhere you can think of, not on television, and you will see that women have oval faces. Men have chiseled square jaws. So if you look here, the difference between a male and female jawline. The male's is bigger, for one thing, very much bigger. Okay. Squared. You can have all these different angles and points right here. Larger skull in general. Deeper eye sockets. With female, it's very oval. You know, it's oval. It's going to be sharper right here. This is a male skull. This is a female skull. Think of how many starlets you know that have this. So they just beat physics? Is that what it is? They're the exception? No, they're not the exception. It's the rule in Hollywood that this is happening. There are no exceptions. There may be a few exceptions, but this is what they do. This is what they've been doing. This is deep. It goes all the way back to ancient Greece, ancient Greek theater. Okay. Female actors weren't even allowed in the theater. Female actresses weren't allowed. Men played female parts. Look at Zendaya's mandible. Look how angular and square that is on the sides. Okay. Look at the male skull. Which one is hers more like, the male or the female? There are a lot of differences we'll get into, but yeah, that's her skull. That's the male skull. Zendaya's mandible, male mandible. Don't worry about the fact that her chin isn't as big as the skull. That doesn't matter. Okay, you'll find variations throughout men and women with that. The main thing is that mandible. Women do not have that sharp mandible, and she does sort of have. If she has a line at the bottom of her chin, I mean, that's enough. It can be pointy, and then don't forget they have surgery as well. That's another thing. We'll get into all of that later, but going back to Zendaya here. Hold on, let me get back to where it was. Okay, so just going through some pictures, I've learned how to scan the skeleton. Okay. She has very square shoulders and a male clavicle. Okay. You'll see that the male shoulders are very much, of course there's exceptions, but she has a very, very male clavicle. Okay. They hide under a lot of weave and makeup, but if you know what to look for, you'll be able to see what you just, after a while, you won't even be able to understand how you didn't see it all along. Some people are always surprised when I bring up Zendaya. They're like, oh, she's a whole woman. But why? Because you like her? Why don't you look with your third eye? Okay, look with your third eye, and you'll be able to see what a lot of us have been telling y'all for the longest time. Okay. Square jaw. She almost looks like a drag queen right here, with the hair and everything. They have top-notch surgeons. Okay, some are better than others. If you go back and look at Spider-Man, Far From Home, or even Homecoming, you'll see scenes where she just has her head turned up at a sharp angle. Okay, and you can see it real good. So here it's hard to tell because you will rarely find pictures of them, photos of them turned to the side or facing backwards, because the back is another big trait. Men have straight backs. Women have curves in their back in order to compensate for pregnancy. They have to have that curve in their lower back in order to take stress off if they were to get pregnant. Okay, so you'll see these women celebrities walking around with these bumps and straight backs. No, because it gets even more curved during pregnancy. I've had 2 kids. Okay, it gets more curved during pregnancy. It sure doesn't stay the same. Right there, this is a pretty good picture of her bulging Adam's apple, Zendaya. The girl that every girl wants to be like, every young girl wants to be like, and every young guy likes. But I mean, this is the story of them all. This is, we've grown up thinking a lot of these people are who they are, who they say they are, because we don't have any reason to think that they're not. Not realizing there's a deeper agenda behind it all. In Hollywood, they worship Baphomet. Okay. The Baphomet is a dual gender god. They believe that embodying two genders, both genders, makes them more powerful. And if you say, well, they have baby pictures and this and that, listen, you think these stars just lucked up and became stars one day? No, they were born for it. Their parents were Freemasons, occultists, Luciferians, Satanists, all these people. In order to move up in rank, you have to make a sacrifice. You have to sacrifice your child. And if you don't want to literally sacrifice your child, you can opt to sacrifice their gender. Okay? And that will move you up in rank as a Freemason or whatever occult organization it is with you. That moves you up in rank. Okay? Because they groom that child from birth as the opposite sex. Okay, and they start them early on puberty blockers, as well as hormone therapy and surgeries when they can. Some of the singers that you see that you think are female and have high voices and high range, they're male castratis. A castrati is a young boy who was castrated in his youth in order to get rid of testosterone so that he can retain a higher singing voice, a higher pitch. And it's supposed to have been banned in 1903 because it was an official practice, mostly for young choir boys. They still do it. They still do it. Some of them have it taken off, some of them don't. I guess it just depends on the person. But yeah, this is Zendaya. This is my first one, so I'm not really versed, and I'm probably not as prepared as I want to be, but because I have a lot to go over with her as far as her body. Of course, Zendaya is very skinny, but there is supposed to be a cinch, especially since she's so skinny. There's supposed to be a very pronounced cinch right here above her belly button. She's giving a kind of a deceptive pose right here, putting her hands on her hips, twisting to the side a little bit. A lot of them, they do these poses to make it look as if they have curves when they really don't. Okay. Her mandible is very, come on, for real. It's not a woman's jawline. I got all excited last night because I was watching The Addams Family, and I noticed Angelica Houston, because I can't watch anything now without going straight to that throat and going and just scanning the skeleton, just casing the skeleton. And I'm like, well, Angelica Houston is, but that's not surprising. And this was the one that also had Joan Cusack in it, and she seemed to have a feminine face. She seemed to have an actual woman's face, which I'm starting to notice is very rare on TV. And I got all excited, so I'm like, oh my God, I think Joan Cusack is a woman. There are some, I think there are some. Okay, can't be all of them, but the vast majority of them are male to female transgenders. Okay, this is my first video, and I'm going to touch on other celebrities and show you what to look for and just go over the skeletal anatomy. But hit the subscribe button because I got a lot of videos coming soon, and I'm going to make sure that I put everything in order this time, and I'll be back with another video.